Hey, welcome. My name is Dr. Neesa Mills of Creative Feminine Rising, a platform where people, women specifically, get to come home to their deep feminine knowing and presence and express creatively. This month, I'm here to talk to you specifically about the image just next to my head called the Star Mother, which is a portal access to getting us in touch with the energy of the Great Mother. And I have with me today my dear sister, Gina René. Part of the conversation that we've been having about this particular feminine portal is the opening of the voice. So our creativity comes through expression. I'm a painting teacher. That's one of the ways we do it. We explore the voice, we explore poetry, we explore in many ways that allows a woman to really come back to her center and to move through life from an empowered womb space. And there are relationships between the womb and the throat. And in this time that we're living in, you may know that there's at least 1 in 8 women in the United States with thyroid disease. And there's probably way more, honestly, because many feel they have symptoms, but they are not recognized through a diagnostic process. And we know about all kinds of disorders of the feminine anatomy that is rather countless at this point. And in this creative feminine and free space, creative feminine rising, we're looking to get to the sort of the roots of what that's about for women, all these different, quote, problems and disorders that express through the physical because of these underlying spiritual, emotional conflicts inside of us. So while we are at this stage in our development of the sacred feminine really rising on this planet so that we can come back to ourselves, we are going to explore today in this conversation how the voice can support women in finding their true essence by being in relationship with the divine force of the feminine. So, welcome, Gina. I'm so happy to have you here today. We did an exercise yesterday in one of my online groups with you leading so powerfully, just helping the women, get that space here to be open and clear. All of us have limitations, do we not, around our voice?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me. And that was really powerful yesterday. Um, yeah, did you want to ask me anything specific or just have me share?
Yeah, well, I know that you are a singer of many years. You're a priestess. You have an online platform yourself, and you also have a new physical space in Santa Cruz, California, where you will be. I'm not entirely sure what you're going to do there, working with women and their voices to find that authentic expression that
Yeah.
has been suppressed for thousands of years. So just tell me a little bit about your intention with the voice and why it matters so much in these times.
Mm, Thank you. Love that question. So I will speak initially from my own experience. Um, yeah, just in sort of a like framing it to give a framework of like where I'm coming from. Uh, So I grew up Catholic, and there's a lot of unspoken expectations, often in religion or dogmatic beliefs, that just add to the whole patriarchal way that a lot of us have been raised, because we're raised in the culture. The patriarchal world culture is what Mama Gina likes to call it. And it is a world culture. It's a belief system. And as I started to become an adult, I started to notice how much of my nature as a woman I felt I had to repress, whether it was my sensuality, sexuality, speaking my truth. I also grew up in a musical family. So I was around, our dad playing music all the time. Grandpa was a songwriter. Um, and had this love for music. And actually, me and my older brother, we grew up dancing. Like, mom put us in dance classes. And so we had a lot of creative energy and music all around us. And this Catholic upbringing that was meant to be something that gave us morality and, gave us structure, was meant to be like positive and healthy. Um, but I also noticed that I came in very shy. So I already had this nature that was like, let me just like shut it down and not, I was always just looking around going, oh, like, like, yet I was super free spirited. So I'm giving you sort of the full picture in a way. But as I grew up and started to become a young woman and develop and, start to get interested in romance, and I I just noticed how repressed I learned to be, from my religion, from some of my family upbringing, and from some of that shyness that I was born with. And the culture, patriarchal culture, like just helped, intensify it. And so I literally went through a depression. So in my personal experience, I went through a depression from lack of expression and feeling that I couldn't be free, with the mix of like growing up in the culture, growing up in my life experience, and it literally made me sick. The form of depression I had, it turned into like an identity crisis. I had to leave high school early, or I didn't even leave. That's not what I meant. I left for a time. I had to like take a break from school, and I really needed support. And through that time, and then beyond that, that was like about, age 18, 17. I actually started writing in a journal for the first time as a form of healing. And of course, I got therapy. My family was very supportive of me. I'm very grateful for that. And my older brother, who ended up being part of his band and making music with, which was a whole other next opportunity to have a form of expression. But it all started with self-inquiry and starting to journal. And through that journaling, I started to have a safe place to express myself that wasn't for anyone else. It was like for me, my soul. And you could say maybe spirit, and I always was believed in like God or higher power. But yeah, so basically for me, it was like um, such a deep, deep place that I went to of like losing sense of myself, that when I started to journal, I started finding myself again. And then the other things that I was doing, self-care, getting support from my family, like massage, stuff like that. But so I came back, and through that, I also came back to this love I always had for music, but never thought that I could pursue it because I wasn't a writer. My brother was a writer and he rapped. Dad made music, but I had played piano a little as a kid. So anyway, through that, I ended up finding my singing voice, through finding my voice, which was like, what do I want to say? What's my truth? Who am I really? Right. So with the combination of that, and over time, I started to develop it, and it found out that I had a natural gift for it. But it took time. So fast forward to now, I've been singing for like 30 plus years, writing songs now for that. And I started to use the journaling as a way to heal myself, and it became lyrical journaling. So it was like this pathway that I discovered and then I created, and then so now I have that life experience. I've written many songs. I've used the songs as a way to like heal myself. Um, but then I want to help other women. So I know what it's like to feel depressed, depleted, um, in a place of despair, because not even sometimes we even don't even know why. But it's like, is this making sense to your question? Because like I, because of that, and now I've lived through it, I have this passion for wanting to help really as many women as possible in whatever way I can, to free their voice, their truth. I say your voice, your truth, your power. And it's your creative power, right? It totally connects with the womb. And I know we're going to talk about that more, but it's like, the first step is acknowledging what's going on. So for me, I had to acknowledge that I was in this depression, that things were not okay. And here we are in this very interesting time where things are getting more and more wild, it seems, or, seemingly crazy, and just, a lot of othering and difference. And I think also because of the screens, we're seeing more of what was already here. Is it really getting worse, or is it, you know what I mean? There's a great need for more authentic uh, humanity. And I feel that as women, we have the gift and the power to really embrace our creative energy and be the love we're meant to be, the nurturers to ourselves as well as others, but coming back to ourselves, that's really what's going to change the world. So like the why is like to go from depression to self-expression and to free yourself. And then the why behind that is for love of you and the world and to come back into more of a balance. Does that make sense?
Totally. And so I'm hearing about your journey, finding your own expression and coming out of depression, which is a beautiful lyrical connection there. Um, and at the same time, I know you to be a woman on the path of the divine feminine. When we first met in 2020, myself and Nadine Keller, we were running Her Holy Temple, a women's mystery school, and you were part of that. And I know that you have, since that time, continued your studies of the divine feminine. So maybe you could share a little bit about the relationship between expression and the divine feminine.
I love that. Thank you so much. This is something that I'm clarifying right now in my offerings is how do I connect the deeper truth around my spirituality and the divine feminine that has called me in the inner work I've been doing. So that was some of the inner work, like I said, was the journaling piece, right? So it was just anyone can do that. Like it's not just a woman. What's been different for me is that I am a woman, so I have all the cycles of a woman, and a lot comes with that, a lot of gifts, and I feel challenges that are opportunities to grow. But just being an emotional being and being in the feminine body, um, I think also because I grew up Catholic, and I saw that there was a lot of shame and a lack of embracing our nature as um I don't want to even use the word good, but as healthy, like being a woman, being a human, and having sensuality and sexuality is healthy. And like that's how we all got here. Like, and those were not beliefs that were in that religion. And so it was a it was a dichotomy of going against. So I'm blossoming, I'm 16, like I'm supposed to explore. I'm supposed to, but it's like, oh, I have a body and I get to feel things and I get to explore my sexuality. I had a lot of conflict going on. As I grew into my 20s and beyond, I'm now 49. I'm excited because I'm going to be 50. I feel like, wow, it's like more wisdom, growth is coming. Um, I also started to be drawn to a different way of connecting with life and spirit. And it wasn't a male God. It wasn't my religion I grew up with. It was this feminine essence. And I actually found a book called The Feminine Face of God. And that's really what started to open me up because I felt it. And also I was really drawn to it because I was Catholic. I did go a little deep. I was drawn to like the nuns and like some of these ones who were like the mystics. So I would like study them. It was kind of wild. Mother Teresa or Saint Teresa of Avila, I can't remember, but they were like mystical and there was something there. And then I remember finding this music by Hildegard von Bingen. This was all around when I was 20, and I had moved out for the first time and I was like exploring life and everything felt expansive and I didn't know it then, but I was already on the path of the divine feminine because Hildegard totally she changed things in the church. Like I can't remember the facts to give them to you right now, but she would write these beautiful songs and when you hear them, I mean the energy is just femininity. It's life. It's this life energy and it's just expansive and it's beauty and um yeah, so it's like I was starting to open up to this and I didn't even know it, but it was my nature. It's nature. So no wonder I was going that direction, especially as a woman. And so I followed that and followed that. And I did go down the road of exploring being a nun, which is interesting. I'll save that for another time. Then it was like,
Wow.
I don't need none of being a nun. It was just the pathway of the devotion and that, like, and then here I am years later, I've gone into the priestess path. And what is a priestess? She is one who is really there's many ways to say it, but in a way, she's a conduit or a stand between like the divine and the human, or you could say the earthly and the heavenly, or the mundane and the mystical, and she's here to really anchor divine love back on the planet through whatever various ways that she does, but through her own healing and then radiating that out, the knowledge and wisdom of that through others, with others in community. Really, these are ancient ways, these are old ways. It's really nothing new. But yeah, so I was led down a journey, and then that's also how I'd always been wanting to be part of a mystery school. But I was just felt like there was this whole thing about the priestess came online, and it was like, oh, it's like I'm a priestess, and it was like so like commercialized, and I was like, that's not it. And what drew me to you, Neesa, and you and Nadine and her holy temple, well, you said something of initiate yourself in like somewhere in your, the copy of your web page. And I was like, that's what I had just said to myself like months before. And I wrote it down. I was like, because in the end, you could have all the certificates in the world and experience, but do you know who you are? And I think as women, this connects too, is that often, and maybe other people, but we are women, so we're speaking to that, is a lot of times we attach our worth to something outside of ourselves or some idea that really isn't the truth, that as if my worth is based on something that's not the truth. And the truth is you were born divine. And for me, being a priestess means that I am living in devotion to the highest truth and to life. So in support of life and love. And that means like I have a physical space now, and I've been thinking if I'm creating a temple space, this means that when I walk in the door, I am doing all of the agreements that I'm setting for other people. If I'm going to live by the 42 laws of Ma'at or some version of that that feels very uplifting and truthful and grounded, then I must be living that. So that's something I was realizing lately. I was like, this is a path of devotion. It's a path of choosing the higher road, not denying the shadow, but always wanting to and being committed to growing beyond the limitations that come with this ego that we have. So I know that like I could probably have shared this part of the divine feminine in so many different ways, but it's like the divine mother has become my goddess. And I say God slash God goddess, but I do believe that masculine is within it. But I've totally changed from the Catholic to no, she's a mother and the masculine's in there somewhere, but like just look at nature, and I love her, and I love the expansiveness I feel when I think of her. So yeah, and being a part of the course, creative, feminine, and free has just been amazing for
Mm.
this nurturing that I'm constantly recommitting to in my life.
Yes, and part of this journey that I bring to that platform because I feel like it's so incredibly important. We've got the creative, and we'll go into that a little bit more with your vocal expression, but also that grounded in the physical body place. So much spirituality in the world has always been, from the heart up, right? And it's like, okay, well, what about the rest of the body? And what about this incredible creative space in a female body that we call the womb? And so, part of what we're doing, and I'd love to hear you speak to this a little bit, is connecting the dots, like quite literally, between womb space, starting at the vagina, all the way up into the uterus and the ovaries. There are these different power centers. And when we start to tune into them and activate them, we get to bring them up, right, into the higher centers and really integrate into the heart, into the throat, into the higher visionary part of the brain. So, tell me a little bit about your experience with that and vocalization, because that was really what we
Okay.
were doing yesterday in that
Yes.
class that we spoke about.
Yeah. And something that I love, I want to just add in the way that you teach and you're holding space and guiding in this particular course. I feel that is very brave, courageous, needed, and deeply healing. Like I could almost cry right now when I really like I'm tuning into it. It's like we are exploring, and I'm going to tie in what you asked me in the journey, which I know you'll share more, is we're exploring the power, the connection of, yeah, especially in this portal with the Star Mother being about the throat chakra and the blue. But also we're exploring this part of our body, which is our womb, our pussy, the G spot, and the connection to the throat. And how, this is also when I joined the mystery school, I I was feeling like I was hiding. Okay. I felt like I recognized that I had been and still am to a certain extent, even though I'm committed to changing it, I'm naming it, hiding my fullness as a woman, and coming, like you said, these other parts of me, which when we go down from the heart, we go down. And if you're looking at chakras, great. You got the solar plexus, you got the second chakra, and then you have the first chakra. Well, also, if it's just your body, we're looking at your stomach, and then we're looking at your womb and your pussy, your yoni, whatever you want to call it, and then your legs that then connect to the earth, right? It's like, what is up with connecting it back to the Catholic Church of like wanting to take us away from our bodies? If we're, when we're, the thing is why is there such a movement of embodiment now? And so many people actually waking up to the power of being in your body, meaning being able to notice what you're feeling in your body when you're feeling a fear or an anxiety. Oh my gosh, my stomach's doing this, or like, oh, I just got an ache in my womb when I just didn't say no to that person. Like, or my body is asking me to self-pleasure, and I have been so entrained from my upbringing in Catholicism that I would put it off, and then I'd act like a raging biatch, like, like all it's complex being a human, and being a human woman is a whole other level of complexity. It's beautiful. And it's only often when the shadows or the yuck or the things we didn't notice or we were putting off come up, that then we can then begin to look at them, notice them, acknowledge them, to then shift it, and then the beauty can come. So um yeah, being a part of your group and then even leading the women yesterday, I really was doing my best to just remember my own healing journey around my relationship with my womb and my yoni and my power that's in my body, my feminine body, and how when I honor it and I treat it as sacred, like by honoring it, even like it's not that you have to have rose petals. It's nice to treat your body like an altar and do the whole rituals, like really beautiful. I've done that a few times. It's amazing. It's so healing from this idea that this part of us has been dirty or something like that, or we have to push it aside, or I'm just focused on this other stuff now, like I'm in my masculine. It's like, well, we got to wonder why we're acting out if we're not honoring these different parts of ourselves. So when I noticed that, like, by doing a meditation, like we did a meditation and then we bring on our womb and then we bring it up, my thing is like the heart is the connecting point between the voice and the womb. So honor all of them and connect them. And like, so I know I feel like I'm answering in a roundabout way, but I find that for me, the more grounded I am in my womb space, in honoring my pleasure, my power center, which really is my womb, my feminine body, my genitals, in whatever way works for me, whether I'm with partner or on my own, it grounds me, and it totally opens me up to my vulnerability and receptivity. It
Mm.
changes my nervous system to then I can then come up into my heart. Like it's not separate from my heart, and then I'm able to actually like be more authentic from my voice. But then when it comes to like singing or sounding or expressing, you're even more in your truth because you're embodied. And I've made up a new spelling for embodiment, and it's called embodiment. Like be in your body, embody. I
I
am,
am, yes.
like I played off that because it's just like embodied, be in your body. And how that creates such power. And it's not even creating power, you're awakening it, you're honoring it. That's all. And so then you can express more fully from there when you come into.
Yes. The creative expression. That is what the world needs from all of us, right? Rather than when we become sovereign and really listening to our unique selves, that's when the genius comes out, right? And the genius that is our creative access that is unique and key to the transformation in my opinion. Like if everyone was able to do that really truly authentically,
Yeah.
could you imagine where the world would be? And this Star Mother portal, for example, it's one of 5 of the Sacred Feminine Light Portal series that came through my paintbrush. And, I didn't know what it was. Like, and it began to teach me, right? So it was the great mystery just dropping in through my hand.
Mm.
And I know that you experienced that with your voice. In fact, it was so beautiful yesterday witnessing the transformation in this pod of women in just, whatever your timeline was, 45 minutes or something. And one woman was really in a pretty deep state of crisis, actually, when she got on the call earlier and left feeling like really stabilized, safe.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you could just give an example of what you do to help women to activate their voices.
Like a
Yeah, some
demonstration.
sound. Bring some sound.
Sure. Oh, hey, hey, oh, we are here, anchoring in the divine feminine, calling on and in the divine mother of all. Thank you for this life. Thank you for my sister. And all of us remembering that we are all one and that our expression is needed. And so it is. A womb. A womb.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I just want to acknowledge that your words have healing power for so many people when we listen. Just that. I'm like, oh, what a beautiful reminder. And and so my next invitation for you is to help people understand through perhaps like a short exercise right now, like how you can encourage them to find that next level of expression, to be able to clear the throat chakra, to be able to clear out stuckness in the thyroid gland, and
Okay.
how that relates down into the deep womb space as well. How does that sound?
Yeah, there's two things that are coming through right now. The initial one is one that we did yesterday on the call, and I love you, Neesa, because you are like my sister goddess priestess guide. Neesa was my teacher, she's become a dear friend, and I still honor that you're my elder because you have years that have gone before me and wisdom. Um, but the first thing that I was saying is I have had a personal practice that I've done that I like to call primal sounding. A lot of people call it toning. I like to make my own words up that feel more aligned for me. And what it is just you could be in your car. The car is one of the best places, especially when you're driving alone, no one's there. And I often do healing on my own body through sound. And so I'll just give you a little demonstration, a taste of that. And you basically just tune into sounds that feel right for you. And if there's a certain area that you're feeling is calling you for healing, then you kind of intuit the type of sound that would work for that. Lower notes are often connected to the lower parts of the body, or like the genitals, the womb. So it's sort of like thought of that way. So take that breath. any sound works. You can go all over the place and explore. And I've done that for 40 minutes and just come out transformed. And I'm like, my ancestors are in me. So yeah, you experienced some of that too, yesterday.
Yes, I felt it
Curious.
right now. I could feel it in different parts of my body so that I
Just
know,
me
yes,
offering
just
that to
you
you?
doing that. And I know that, we can all be facilitated with sound in a powerful way. But I really want people to understand that anyone can use the power of their voice to support themselves. They don't have to feel confident or like I'm a singer, I'm not a singer, or whatever these storylines are, right? But to really do it in the car, do it in the shower, like no one even has to hear you. But just letting that vibration happen into parts of your body that are maybe a little stressed, maybe shut down in some way, just by giving that attention starts to break up energies, patterns that we're ready to shift. It's a great thing to do, I would
Yes.
imagine, before you go on an interview or, get on a stage or, make a YouTube video or whatever it is that one is going to do where they're being called to their voice authentically.
Yeah. And then there's the whole study around sound and how it changes the body, and we can feel it. That's why we feel good. So there's that piece too.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
and women traditionally, men too, just tribally, people sing together. Like that's what we do. That's what we used to do. And then it became just, professional musicians having concerts and we all go and have a good time. But
Yeah.
traditionally it was the tribe singing together. And I really recognize that when we do that kind of sound with the earth, you can feel
Yeah.
the earth kind of respond and come alive. Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Because we are her body. It's the same territory.
I hear a song in there.
You do. Of course you do.
Do you have more questions? Because I had one more thing I wanted to add.
Oh,
I'm
please
curious.
do. Yes, please do. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, what also came to me, for those of you that are curious of how to both transform a belief and make a little jingle or a song all in one, I'll give you an example, and perhaps this could inspire you to do so with one of the beliefs that's coming up for you in your life around anything that's just maybe limiting. So, for example, different times in my life when maybe there wasn't enough time or money, I would find myself being like, I'm running out of this. There's not, I'd be saying something like that. There's not enough, da 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 da. Um, I did run into a friend who was sharing this affirmation with me, and the affirmation was, how can it get any better than this? So different ways of looking at things, whereas the mind might be, and they say that our neurons, they start to fire and they wire and fire in a way of wherever we're used to. So even if you've been used to depression, or that's why it takes our willpower to make a conscious choice to choose a new, like an affirmation or a new statement. And it takes getting curious and then playful. And then that's where you can add melody if you want. So then I ended up adding a melody to that. And this is a song that I've used. And you can, of course, you can use it too. I'm just encouraging you guys to go ahead and make up your own if you want, because it's really empowering. And it's a way for you to just have a mini taste of like creating your own little song to change your life. So this goes, it's really cute. It goes, how can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? Better than this? Better than this? How can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? Better than this? Better than this? How can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? How can it get any better than this? Better than this? Better than this? Can you almost hear like a dance beat to that? Like I literally like when I was manifesting, or you could call it co-creating with spirit. My house, my first time having my own house, I lost the first house that I really wanted, and I just felt the pain, and then I used this, and I just for an hour driving to Half Moon Bay to go like take myself out. I'm like, how can Nick get in? And I just started like, I was like, this is so dope. Like, I need to be. I was just like, you have that transformation. So now you have two ways. Yeah, I wanted to share that.
That's great. Like just immediately happy making, right? I'm just like, oh yeah, how can it get better than this?
Seriously, take it and run with it, sing it, and then like if then share in the comments like how was it for you, or did you make your own, or yeah.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, well, I guess it feels like time to wrap here. Is there anything else that you feel the need to express before we close out for today?
Well, I want to just thank you, and I want to honor the Star Mother portal and connect back to that for a moment, just because it's also really beautiful and powerful, just how you channeled these portals, and then the meaning of it for me and the timing of us going into this portal in the course that I'm in with you right now, that it happened to be right after my friend came to me and was showing me these pictures of Ma'at, and then she said how she saw the blue rose, and then the next day, I think, or the next week, I'm doing Star Mother portal with you, and you got the roses, the blue rose in the middle, and then another course I'm doing is all about the blue lotus in the throat chakra. And I was like, this, and I keep seeing blue everywhere. And so these synchronicities that we experience in our lives, whether it's like animals, you know, whatever the symbolism that we see, or things in nature, they're meant to, that's just how life is. It's a gift, and it's like we get to remember that playfulness we had as children and bring that back, and that the energy of life, the mother, is always here for you. And so I feel like just connecting with the portal and feeling that love, like whatever your relationship has been with your throat, your feminine body, um, just remember that there's grace available to you. And that's like what I'm getting when I'm looking at the Star Mother portal. And that's kind of just what I wanted to connect
Beautiful, thank you.
to.
Yeah, so I there are five of these portals. This is the third in the series. The first is cosmic waters, so getting connected to our waters on the earth and in our bodies and in the cosmos, really on a deep spiritual level, and then our wombs, and then the Great Mother through the Star Mother portal, and then the Diamond Heart is the fourth one, and the fifth one is the cause or the new earth generator. So this earth relationship, but in a higher way, getting us to the next octave of evolution with ourselves in relationship to the earth and Gaia's own ascension trajectory. So every month I offer something online, a donation based meditation to step into these portals, and then do a short art workshop online on Saturdays once a month called Her Artistry Flows. So it's also an opportunity to tune in with the specific portal of the month and create some art around it. No pressure, no perfection, just like the voice. I mean, we all know how to play with color and shapes, and kids drawing is just so incredibly natural, right? So, yeah. So I want to say thank you, Gina, for your wisdom, for your presence, for your ongoing growth and sharing with the world. I look forward to what's next. So if people want to get in touch with you, we'll have a link here in the comments as well.
Thank you,
Okay.
Nisa. So good.